This presentation is for a general audience with a basic high school education that are up to date with general news and popular culture. I'm here today to tell you why colonizing Venus is a better choice than Mars. So why do we need to colonize another planet at all? Well, as Michio Kaku discusses in his book, The Future of Humanity, eventually our planet Earth will become inhospitable to human life. So we must leave this planet or perish, whether it be in the next thousands of years from another ice age that crushes our civilization under massive sheets of ice, or a supervolcano eruption that engulfs the Earth in poisonous gas and debris, or perhaps over the next millions of years, facing an asteroid impact that would wipe humanity off the face of the planet, or inevitably in a billion years when the sun starts to expand into a red giant, eventually engulfing the Earth. So why should you listen to me? My name is Toby Mattei-Browne, and I have taken a research interest in Venus, reading books such as Venus Revealed by Harry Grinspoon, scientific journals, and listening to experts on the subject for over 5 years. My intrigue was first captured by the colonization of other planets in the solar system when I was 12 in 1996, when the book The Case for Mars by Robert Zubrin showed up in the book club brochure at school. Needless to say, I read it over the weekend. These two books are used as a guide to present you with some facts during this presentation. Recently, Venus is the main reason for the shift of my study path away from pure astrophysics to planetary science. And with a passion in climatology, Venus provides the perfect example of a runaway greenhouse effect in the solar system. During this presentation, I'm going to give you the best reasons why colonizing Venus is a better choice than Mars. We'll start with going over Mars and Venus in popular culture. Then we'll explore the reasons why Venus is a more suitable planet to colonize. Next, why it is more efficient traveling to Venus over Mars. And finally, how we can actually colonize Venus. So let's continue. When it comes to popularity and inspiration in the modern age, Mars beats Venus hands down. Its public relations team has been exceptional over the years. H.G. Wells first captured the minds of readers in 1897 when he wrote the book War of the Worlds, where the Earth was attacked by a vanguard of invading Martians. On Halloween in 1938, Orson Welles caused mass hysteria when he spooked his radio program listeners into thinking Earth was actually being invaded by Martians. The story of War of the Worlds continues to capture us with iterations of the stories in musicals, books, and movies, even after 100 years. We then have Andy Weir's book, The Martian, and the movie with Matt Damon. We've got Total Recall with Arnie, Mars Attacks, Flash Gordon, John Carter, Marvin the Martian, Bruno Mars, Veronica Mars, Mars Bars, and the list goes on. Then there's modern day superhero Elon Musk, who's on his way to colonize Mars. Not to forget the exceptional Mars rovers Perseverance and Curiosity, with 2.8 and 4.2 million Twitter followers respectively. And then there's Venus. Venus got a few forgotten about stories and movies in the 50s and 60s. We have Botticelli's The Birth of Venus, the Venus flytrap, Venus razors, and although it holds the award for the first planet in the solar system to be sent a probe, not many could tell you what that probe was called and when it happened. It was Mariner 2 in 1962. Venus's popularity really seemed to diminish after a series of probes that explored the atmosphere and surface of Venus in the 60s and 70s, sent by the Soviet Union and USA, sent us back information of the hellish pressure cooker environment that is the surface of the planet. So how about we show a little support for the underdog? So let's explore why Venus is a more suitable planet to colonize. First up, let's compare the surface temperature. While Earth has an average of 15 degrees Celsius and Mars a freezing minus 63, Venus has a hotter than hell 462 degrees Celsius. You may have heard that it is hot enough to melt lead. But let's apply that to an everyday scenario. Think of cranking up your household oven to the max, around 240 degrees Celsius. Now let's double it. Next, think of standing in that oven and imagine every single one of your body's cells instantly boiling away. So how about the surface level pressure? Because Mars has a very thin atmosphere, it has a pressure of only around 1/100th to that of the Earth. But at Venus, due to its super dense atmosphere, it has a crushing pressure of over 90 times that of the Earth. That's like diving 1 kilometer under Earth's ocean, far beyond the crush depth of any military submarine. The first probes sent to Venus were crushed in the atmosphere on descent. This may sound like the most hellish planet in the solar system, but just hold on. Let's explore 50 kilometers above the surface of Venus. The temperature now drops to 75 degrees Celsius, easily manageable by the use of protective clothing and engineering materials that exist today. The pressure drops to around what we experience on Earth. This means no pressurized vessels or spacesuits are required, unlike Mars. Still not convinced? The gravity on Venus is around 90% of what we experience on Earth, compared to less than 40% on Mars. This is due to the similar mass and size of Venus to Earth. So why is this important? Well, low gravity is bad for humans. It causes us to lose bone mass and leads to bone-related issues such as osteoporosis. Remember, we are talking about long-term colonization here, and living in less than 40% of Earth's gravity can't be healthy. Venus's gravity alone could render it the most suitable planet in the solar system for long-term habitation. Throw in some radiative shielding from solar rays, and Venus is looking pretty good for colonization now, isn't it? So why is it more efficient traveling to Venus rather than Mars? Well, according to an article on an exploration strategy for Venus by Dale Arney and Christopher Jones of the NASA Langley Research Center, which we will further explore in a moment, Venus is only around half the distance of Mars away from the Earth at its closest approach. This is why the first interplanetary space probes were sent to Venus. The shorter distance means a shorter travel time and less time spent in the radiation and weightlessness of space for the human crew, and less supplies needed to be carried along for the journey, including fuel. Overall, this translates into a lower cost. The shorter distance also means a shorter communication time with Earth, and as Arnie and Jones point out, allows for an abort back to Earth for the crew, which exists even after the arrival at Venus. In comparison, for a crewed mission to Mars, once at the planet, the crew must remain there for approximately 500 days before a return back to Earth. So how can we colonize Venus? With cloud cities, 50 kilometers above the surface. That's right, cloud cities. Craft filled with helium or Earth air. Jeffrey Landis outlines how this is possible in his article Settling Venus, a City in the Clouds, which was presented at the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics Ascend Conference in 2020. He points out that the atmospheric temperature is suitable to keep liquid water, and also makes reference to the abundance of solar energy ready to harvest at this height. It turns out there are more watts per square meter than Earth. This article claims that Venus has room for 1 billion habitats, each with a population of hundreds of thousands. Landis references a concept presented in an article by James Lay et al. Titled Proposal for a Floating Habitat Design for Manned Missions to Venus that was presented at the 69th International Astronautical Congress in 2018. Lay et al. Briefly describes a floating, spherical, solar-powered habitat housing 4 to 6 crew. Its aerodynamic design allows it to be carried by the rapid winds of Venus. It has retractable wings to produce lift when required. Filled with Earth air, as detailed by Landis, The habitat would be buoyant in the atmosphere of Venus, which consists mainly of carbon dioxide. Another more detailed concept referenced by Landis is a concept by the NASA Systems Analyst and Concepts Directorate, HAVOC, the High Altitude Venus Operational Concept. This article previously mentioned details the concept by Dale Arney and Christopher Jones that envisions a large 129-meter helium-filled solar panel airship that supports a crew of 2 for an initial mission of 30 days to the clouds of Venus. This study provides a detailed analysis of the two-way journey, deployment into the atmosphere of Venus, and a concept ascent vehicle for use at the end of the mission. The 5-phase concept outlined in the study ends with a permanent presence in the atmosphere of Venus. So in conclusion, I have given you the best reasons why colonizing Venus is a better choice than Mars, and I've shown you how it will likely look. You have heard about Mars and Venus in popular culture. We have explored the reasons why Venus is a more suitable planet to colonize, why it is more efficient traveling to Venus instead of Mars, and concluded with how we can actually colonize Venus. So cloud cities on Venus or surface colonies on Mars? Do you think Venus is a better choice? Sorry, Elon, I'm heading to Venus.